If you feel tired, stretched, emotionally drained, and like your life looks calm on the outside but not on the inside, then this conversation is for you. Because the peace I wanted for years finally began when I made one decision, and I wish I had made it much sooner. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome. If you are new here, I'm so happy you found your way to this channel today. And if you are one of my returning friends, thank you so much for coming back and spending this time with me. It truly means so much to me, and I never take your presence here for granted. Today, I want to talk with you about something that sounds very simple on the surface, but for me, it took many years to really understand. And that is this. The peace I wanted started with this one decision. Now, I think many of us say we want peace. We want a peaceful home, a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart. We want to wake up without dread. We want to go to bed without replaying every conversation in our minds. We want our lives to feel softer, simpler, calmer, more honest. But for so long, at least in my own life, I thought peace would come from outside of me. I thought peace would come when other people changed, when circumstances improved, when the bills were easier, when the relationship got better, when the children were all right, when the house was just so, when I looked better, when the world settled down, when everything around me finally lined up and behaved itself. But life has a way of teaching us, doesn't it? And what I finally learned is that peace does not usually arrive because the world suddenly becomes gentle. Very often, peace begins when we make one clear inner decision. And the decision that changed so much for me was this. I decided to stop abandoning myself just to keep everyone else comfortable. That was the beginning of peace for me. Not perfection, not a perfect life, not a life without grief, disappointments, noise, mess, or responsibilities, but peace, a deeper kind of peace. The kind that begins quietly inside and then slowly changes the way you live, the way you respond, the way you choose, the way you love, and even the way you rest. So today I want to talk with you heart to heart about that one decision and the many ways it changed my life. And perhaps, if any of this speaks to you, it may help you too. So let's begin. For many years, I didn't even realize how often I was abandoning myself. And I think this is especially true for women. We are taught very early on to be agreeable, to be kind, to be helpful, to be accommodating, to smooth things over, to not make too much trouble, to not upset people, to not seem selfish, to not disappoint anyone if we can help it. And those qualities can be beautiful in the right balance. Kindness is beautiful. Generosity is beautiful. Thoughtfulness is beautiful. But when kindness turns into self-erasure, something begins to break inside. You say yes when your whole being is saying no. You tolerate things that leave you depleted. You keep the peace outwardly while losing it inwardly. You take responsibility for everyone else's feelings. You over-explain yourself. You apologize for your needs. You postpone your rest. You swallow your truth. You call it love. You call it patience. You call it being a good woman. But often, if we are honest, it is not peace at all. It is exhaustion wearing a pleasant face. And I think one of the saddest things is how long some of us live that way before we understand the cost. Because the cost is not just tiredness. The cost is resentment. The cost is anxiety. The cost is confusion. The cost is a body that tightens, The cost is a spirit that feels crowded. The cost is waking up one day and realizing you have been present in your own life, but not fully living it. That is a painful realization. For me, peace began when I finally made the decision that I would no longer betray my own spirit just to be liked, needed, or approved of. Now, that does not mean I stopped caring. It does not mean I became cold. It does not mean I stopped loving people. It does not mean I became selfish or hard. It simply means I began telling the truth to myself first. And sometimes, my dear friends, that is where all healing starts. The first thing this decision changed was the way I said yes. Before, I said yes too quickly. Yes, I can help. Yes, I can come. Yes, I can take that on. Yes, that's fine. Yes, don't worry about me. Yes, I understand. Yes, of course. Yes, it's all right. And so often it was not all right. I just didn't want to deal with the discomfort of disappointing anyone. But do you know what I came to understand? Every time I said yes to something that deeply drained me, resentfully obligated me, or violated what I knew was right for me, I was saying no to my own peace. And that accumulates. It doesn't always explode all at once. Sometimes it just simmers. You feel it in the irritation you cannot explain, in the heaviness you carry, in the way small things suddenly feel too much, in the tears that arrive over something minor because it was never really about that one small thing. It was about the 100 little times you ignored yourself. And so I began pausing before I answered. Such a small thing, but such a powerful one. I began giving myself permission to say, let me think about it, or I'm not able to do that, or that won't work for me, or even simply, no. Now, I know for some women that little word feels almost forbidden, but it is a holy word when it protects what matters, because no is not cruelty, no is not rejection, no is not a failure of love. Sometimes no is simply wisdom, and I think a peaceful life requires a few honest no's. The second thing this decision changed was my relationship to other people's emotions. Oh, this is a big one. For years, I think I carried feelings that did not belong to me. If someone was disappointed, I felt responsible. If someone was upset, I felt I must fix it. If someone misunderstood me, I rushed to explain. If someone withdrew, I became anxious. If someone disapproved, I questioned myself. If someone was unhappy with their own life, somehow I would begin carrying a little piece of that too. Now, empathy is a beautiful thing. It really is. But there is a difference between compassion and emotional over-responsibility, and many women cross that line without even noticing. We begin to believe it is our job to manage the mood in every room, to keep everyone comfortable, to absorb tension, to be the emotional shock absorber in the family, the relationship, the friendship, the workplace. But eventually that becomes too heavy, because you were never meant to carry every feeling in the room. You are not responsible for making every adult comfortable with your honesty. You are not responsible for preventing every disappointment. You are not responsible for rescuing everyone from the consequences of their choices. You are not responsible for constantly translating your worth to those determined not to see it. When I finally understood that, a strange thing happened. I became calmer. I realized I could let people have their reactions without immediately losing myself inside them. If someone was upset, that did not automatically mean I had done something wrong. If someone didn't like my boundary, that didn't mean the boundary was unkind. If someone expected more than I could honestly give, that didn't mean I had to betray myself to meet that expectation. That understanding gave me so much peace. The third thing this one decision changed was my need for approval. Now, I think if we are honest, most of us like approval. We like being appreciated. We like being thought well of. There is nothing terribly strange about that. But when approval becomes the compass by which you live, you lose your direction. You start dressing for other people's opinions, living for other people's comfort, editing your truth, reducing your needs, silencing your instincts, choosing what looks acceptable rather than what feels right. And over time, that creates an inner split. You may look composed on the outside, you may seem agreeable, helpful, admired even, but inside, your own soul is saying, "Why do you keep leaving me behind?" That question is not easy to answer. For me, there came a point where I realized that approval is very expensive when it costs you authenticity. So I made a quiet decision. I would rather be at peace than endlessly approved of. Not by everyone, not in every room, not in every relationship. Because the truth is, if you live honestly, some people will be disappointed. Some will misunderstand you. Some will prefer the old version of you, the more agreeable version, the more available version, the more self-sacrificing version. But that is not always a sign you are doing something wrong. Sometimes it is a sign you are finally becoming honest. And honesty, even when it is uncomfortable at first, is deeply peaceful. The fourth thing it changed was the atmosphere of my home and my daily life. Now peace is not only a mental thing, it is also practical. When I stopped abandoning myself, I stopped treating my daily life as though my comfort didn't matter. I stopped thinking that rest was something I had to earn only after everyone else was satisfied. I stopped believing that my home had to impress before it could nurture. I stopped filling every hour with obligation and then wondering why I felt thin and brittle inside. I began asking myself very simple questions. What kind of atmosphere helps me feel calm? What drains me that I can reduce? What small routines bring me back to myself? What clutter, physical or emotional, is making life harder than it needs to be? And I found that peace often enters through very ordinary doors. A tidier room, a quieter morning, a slower cup of tea, a walk without the phone, turning something off, letting some invitation pass, opening the window, lighting a lamp in the evening, saying, "That can wait," choosing not to argue, not rushing unnecessarily, not overcommitting, not consuming more noise than the spirit can digest. These things may sound small, but small things shape the day, and the day shapes the life. I think many women are not lacking peace because they are doing life badly. I think they are lacking peace because they have never been told that their inner steadiness deserves to be protected in practical ways. It does. The fifth thing this decision changed was how I understood love. This one is very tender to me because for a long time I think I confused love with overgiving. I thought love meant constant availability. I thought love meant understanding everything. I thought love meant enduring anything. I thought love meant putting myself last and calling that devotion. I thought love meant carrying people who would not carry themselves. But true love is not built on self-abandonment. True love has honesty in it, respect in it, breathing room in it, mutuality in it, consideration in it. And one of the most peaceful decisions a woman can make is to stop calling depletion love. If you leave every interaction feeling used, dismissed, anxious, or invisible, something is off. If love always requires you to shrink, silence yourself, or overfunction, something is off. If you are endlessly giving and never spiritually replenished, something is off. That does not mean every relationship is easy. Of course not. Love asks things of us. Marriage asks things of us. Family asks things of us. Friendship asks things of us. But love should not require that you disappear. The peace I wanted began when I understood that I could love other people deeply and still remain loyal to my own soul. What a beautiful thing that is, to love without losing yourself, to care without carrying everything, to help without becoming responsible for another adult's entire emotional life, to be kind without abandoning truth. That is mature love. And mature love feels very different from martyrdom. The sixth thing this decision changed was my relationship with the future. When we are anxious, unhappy, or disconnected from ourselves, we often live in when. When this changes, then I'll feel better. When life settles down, then I'll rest. When I have more money, then I'll enjoy myself. When they finally understand me, then I'll be at peace. When the timing is right, when the house is right, when the relationship is right, when the world is right. But peace does not like to live in constant postponement. Peace asks something different of us. It asks us to inhabit the life we actually have, not perfectly, not passively, but honestly. One of the greatest shifts for me was realizing that I could begin creating peace now, even before everything was resolved. I could choose a calmer response now. I could create a gentler home now. I could protect my energy now. I could tell the truth now. I could stop overcommitting now. I could let go of one draining habit now. I could stop rehearsing grievances now. I could return to my body, my breath, my prayer, my senses, this present day. And that changed something in me. Because peace is not only a destination, it is also a way of walking. The seventh thing it changed was the way I saw aging itself. I think many women fear aging not only because of the physical changes, but because they fear becoming irrelevant, overlooked, less needed, less admired, less central. But age, if we allow it, can bring such beautiful clarity. By this stage of life, we have spent enough years chasing what does not satisfy. We have spent enough years over-explaining, over-giving, and overextending. We have spent enough years learning the hard way. And perhaps one of the gifts of getting older is this. We can finally stop negotiating against ourselves. We can begin to say, this matters to me. This no longer does. I don't want to live in constant stress. I do not have to earn rest. I will not spend these years in bitterness. I want simplicity. I want truth. I want beauty. I want calm. I want relationships that feel sincere. I want to enjoy the life I have left. That is wisdom, not selfishness, wisdom. And I think many women discover too late that peace was never hiding from them. It was waiting on the other side of self-respect. The eighth thing this one decision gave me was a better relationship with myself. Now, this may be the most important part of all, because wherever you go, there you are. You can change homes, change routines, change hairstyles, change cities, even change relationships. But if you are still in the habit of abandoning yourself, the unrest follows. So much peace entered my life when I became someone I could trust, someone who would listen when something felt wrong. someone who would not force herself past every limit, someone who would not say yes just to avoid guilt, someone who would not make herself small to be accepted, someone who would tell the truth kindly, someone who would allow rest, someone who would notice beauty, someone who would stop speaking harshly to her own heart. That kind of self-trust is so calming because you stop feeling like you are betraying yourself all day long. And when that happens, the nervous system quiets, the spirit softens, the mind clears. You feel less divided. And perhaps that is what peace really is in part, no longer being at war within yourself. So if I had to say it very simply, the one decision that changed everything was this. I decided that my inner peace was too precious to keep trading away. Not for approval, not for obligation, not for guilt, not for performance, not for appearances, not for relationships that depended on my silence, not for old habits of self-erasure. Now, have I done this perfectly? No, of course not. Life is still life. There are still demands. There are still difficult days. There are still moments when I catch myself slipping into old patterns. But once you truly understand where peace begins, you cannot unknow it. You begin to return to it, again and again, a little faster each time. And perhaps you are listening to me today and thinking, yes, that is me. I have been abandoning myself for years. If so, please do not meet that realization with shame. Meet it with tenderness. You learned what many women were taught to learn. You adapted. You coped. You loved the best way you knew how. But now perhaps it is time for a new way, a calmer way, a truer way, a way with more breathing room in it. Perhaps the peace you want will not begin with changing everyone around you. Perhaps it will begin with one quiet, dignified decision inside yourself, the decision to stop leaving yourself behind. And if you make that decision, even imperfectly, I think you may be surprised by how much begins to change. Your voice changes, your home changes, your schedule changes, your relationships change, your body relaxes, your sleep improves, your spirit feels less crowded. You begin to feel present in your own life again. And truly, what could be more beautiful than that? Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this conversation touched your heart, I would love for you to tell me in the comments what peace means to you now, or what one decision helped you protect your peace more than anything else. Your comments are always so heartfelt, so wise, and such a comfort to this whole community. And until next time, please do something kind for yourself today. Sit quietly for a few moments. Make a lovely cup of tea. Open a window. Say no to something draining. Say yes to something nourishing. And remind yourself gently that your peace matters too. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this message spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you know someone who may need this conversation right now, please share this video with them. Take gentle care of yourself today, protect your peace, and I hope to see you in my next video.